In three, two, I think we live. All right, what's up, folks? Welcome to the Real Talk Tap Talks as a part of the Last Shuffles, our fifth annual virtual event. And today is our 11th episode, featuring a very special guest. You've seen our next guest everywhere from street performing in our Chicago subways to performing at the Auditorium Theater and even sitting on your bookshelf. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Reggio, the Hoofer McLaughlin.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Me. That's me.
Yep. Yeah, man. How you doing today?
Hey, man, all is well. So far, so good,
Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure to have you a part of this event. Yesterday when we did the classes, as I said,
Wow.
I often have ambitions to have things, lined up, but I try not to reach out to folks until it's a little more sure. So last year, when we hosted it with George, you came along and that was really dope to have you, in the space, just like
Yeah.
when just like whether it's our contemporaries, our
Uh-huh.
people our same age or older or whoever who come in the class sometimes and just check things out and make sure folks are on par and maybe jump in there and so a
I do
year.
that sometimes, but I be like in the corner and I be
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm gonna head in this corner now. Don't mess with me, man. I need time to figure these things out. You know what I mean? But then by the time you get started, before you get out of there, man, all you over there all up on social media, yeah, in the corner messing up.
Hey man, either way,
Yeah,
is it was dope that last year you
yes,
came and brought that vibe, and then a year later you're on faculty with us as we took this event from each year before. Now the last 4 years it's just been me and one other person, and now we
yeah.
have seven people on faculty, including me and you. So it's a
Wow.
pleasure to have you, not just for the classes we did yesterday, but for this now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it's kind of good, when you got mainstream dances and stuff, just kind of show up. I find that very inspiring and very encouraging to the next generation and up and coming dancers, man, to keep it going. And I think they need that from all the mainstream dancers and, who's been out there for a while and have a name out there for themselves. um, you have to show that you are real. You're the real thing. You 24/7. And whatever I can help you with, here I am.
hey man, it's a blessing. Things
Yeah.
come full circle, and for all of us, at one point, we might be sitting and watching a class, and before that we're teaching it ourselves, and before that we're in the class, as a student at some point. So, for those who don't know, for those who maybe aren't so familiar with you, if we can start with just what got you into dancing in the first place, and who were your first or main teachers?
My older sister and them, we lived by a Chicago Park District community center slash, and my mother used to make us go over there after school. They had a lot of activities going on, and I remember a lot of us used to do dancing in the park at these Chicago Park District. At least I did some, but that's where I saw that right on Stony Island, 63rd Stony Island, and then we over there, we go there. And then my sister and them were taking the tap classes. They had offer tap classes, and my sister and them was taking that. Most of the guys, they did the gymnastics and everything. And then at the end of the program, they had the big showcase. And when I went to see the showcase, I was a little guy, man, 7 years old maybe. And I saw the tap dancing, and man, I heard the taps and the sound of the rhythms being executed from taps, and they was turning and spinning. And it hit me like love at first sight, like Cupid shot that bow and arrow in me that arrow. And after that, it was for, never left me evermore, even though I was so young and I got sidetracked, being a musician and that before I was able to transition out of that musician thing to just a full-blown tap dancer. But that's where I saw it. And when I saw the performance with my sister and them and the other, other dancers with them, I just fell in love with it, and it never left me. And once I got old enough where I could go for it myself, it was a big family with 8 of us. So my mother, she didn't have the money to send us to all these dance school or dance academy, man. So I had to wait till I could afford to do it on my own, and that's exactly what I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you mentioned music. I just learned this about you recently, but what instrument did
I started playing bass guitar. My father used to play around the house, just around the house. And then one day, my older brother, I always wanted to hang with him. You know how it is when you got an older brother. Come on, man, let me hang with you. Nah, man, you ain't cool enough. And he used to do all that. So finally, he started learning how to play guitar from my father. And then one day he said, man, why don't you learn how to play the bass? And you will, we could start a band. I'm like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I learned to play. So he started showing me how to play the bass. And we started playing together. We got a little drummer. And then later on, long story short, there's a record company here called Brunswick Records. On Brunswick, they had Shy Lights, Jackie Wilson, Tyrone Davis, a number. I know Louis Armstrong was with them for a while. But anyway, they were like the Chicago rhythm and blues sound, the way Motown was to Detroit. And my brother was started playing for them. And he was with a group. They was getting ready to go out on the road, and the bass player got sick the day before they supposed to leave. He said, hey man, I got a little brother, he know how to play. I could get him and show him all the stuff. And they say, cool. All right, so I learned how to play the stuff, and they took me out on the road, and I was that time maybe 15 years old. I started learning at 12. So at 15, I went out, and they were so impressed with my playing that the record company gave me an ultimatum. They told me either I could go back to school or I could stay there and become a record musician, and they would send me out with their different recording artists that, who didn't have musicians. They would send me out. So I dropped out of school at sophomore year, man, and I stayed out there on the road. And one thing that I like, and then finally when that started slacking up, but then I was making money to pay for me to take classes, which I was paying Jimmy Payne Sr., was my first teacher. So I was able to pay him for my classes when I was in town. And then when the music thing kind of just started fading out, I faded right on into that transition of my dancing. But I was so glad I did it because, when I'm dancing, I use a lot of live music. And, when you do the festivals or live music. So I already had developed that intuition and inclination to be able to tell musicians what I want them to do, and the intro, and I'm coming in on letter A, and a lot of different things, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of the things that I've done, they were like pieces to a puzzle. And when I started dancing, they all come in together and make the total picture. That's why I produce a couple of shows. I work with the musicians. I tell them what I want and how the arrangements should go and all of that,
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we quickly got from your beginning to the things you've done, as a professional for many years now. And if you're getting these texts,
I'm getting them, man. They like bang, 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 bang,
Yeah. For those who know what's up, of that, this is a part of an event
Yeah.
the last shuffles, we have a faculty group chat right now, and
Yeah,
so
looks like
hopefully,
it. My son 15, we're out celebrating the day. Yeah, that's George. His son made 15 today, man. That's amazing. I remember when
yeah,
he used to bring little George to the workshops with him.
right,
he
right.
running around while he's
That's
trying to teach.
that's an amazing tradition because my nephew Xavion, he was the same way. And that's my nephew, that ain't my son, but still, like,
Yeah,
to have my fam in the rooms like that,
yeah,
that was hilarious to me back when. Like, he just be running through, everyone's
yeah.
classes. This was before I was like teaching for real. So I'm taking class. He's running through.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so he's out saying, man, I'm out with my son, so you know how that go, boy.
Right.
They
Yeah,
won't
no,
never let you forget it if you blow it, boy.
right, right, right. Yeah, no, we already
So
know,
that's
especially this
good.
year, family time is,
I saw a star name pop up there.
yeah, yep. So stars tuned in. Trey just commented in the chat, so
Oh
it's
man, that's so cool. Especially it's almost like you're having that Chicago tap reunion with
yep,
people I haven't crossed paths with in a while, but but in our heart and soul, we always there.
exactly. You already
Yeah.
know. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing, and it's crazy because we're streaming live right now, but this
Uh,
is going to stay up afterwards. So people could be checking this out, tomorrow, in a month, in 3 years. And so if, people are checking this out in the future and don't know,
yeah.
this is 2020 right here. We're wrapping up the end of a wild, wild ride, and,
Yeah.
and
That's
so,
why that's why I gotta be careful what I say, man. They might keep popping this video back up. Yeah, you said it. I got proof right here. You
yep, yep.
said it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's so funny, man, when you were talking earlier about when I came by and you hang in the class, sometimes you jump in classes. But it was amazing, like even with Trey back in the day when I was coming up, I would say, Trey, come on, man, I'm gonna take some privates with you or something, that kind of helped me stay on top of some things that basically wasn't just quite my forte and style, because I'm very tradition. And I found Trey to be very versatile, you know what I mean? And it was just so cool, A lot of times I used to get gigs, I used to use Star. Come on, Star,
Mhm.
roll with me. And I remember her as a little girl when me and Brill, used to get Brill to do school shows with me, man, and stuff. So a lot of people now, they don't even know that a lot of us are dance together, coming up together, and all of that, even though we all are kind of doing our own things together, but they don't know about our history of working together.
Yeah.
So me and Brill's to partner up, do school shows with me. When Mr. Taps left, I used to call on Trey sometime, get to go out there to so on 79th at the school, Tommy Sutton place, and take some
Mhm.
little privates with him and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You
man.
know.
Yeah, no, there's such an amazing Chicago history that whether you're tuning in from, in real life while you're here or from elsewhere, people get to experience, what's been given to us and what we give based on that. But there's a lot of behind the scenes, and there's, this is an actual family, and just like, regular family, you may see folks, a
Yes.
few times a year, you may see them all the time. It changes sometimes, but we bring all our whole history, from ourselves and the people that we connect with through everything we do. And it's a special thing that, if you see us performing, you just see what's happening in the moment. But for us on that stage or backstage or in the classes, or, we get to share a special bond. So, that's why
Yeah.
I'm excited that you're able to get on this podcast. Like, the way I initially, of course, wanted to do it was to be able to do this in person each time. But
Yeah.
this is what we could do for now. And honestly, I want to interview more than just tap dancers, and more than just Chicago tap dancers. But I wanted to start it this way. And so I'm glad that we're getting to more folks, from the Shy. And you're like, one of the strongest characters we have from Chicago. You're such a memorable, not just tap dancer but entertainer and human. Period. And it's funny how people who also don't know our world as well, they hear of one tap dancer and bring it up like Reggio, like of course everyone knows Reggio.
Reggio gonna make sure of that, man.
Yeah. So it's dope to have you here, and thanks to all who are tuning in.
Yeah, hey man, it really is dope for me to even be on the program, man, because like right now, I think the worstest thing that can be done, especially in the tap world, and that's to start isolating tap dancers who have been around, or you feel like, oh, they done gotten at that age, and we want, you know what I mean, kind of up in age, and we want to just stick, with this little new group and da. But that, to me, that's very incomplete, because I always enjoyed when we used to go to the festival, and there was every age from kids 9, 10 years old all the way up to when Harold Chroma in his 90, Brownie in his 90, when Gene Lagarde, all of those dancers, Spencer, Henry Latane, man, we used to do the festival, and everybody in the Hoofers were all there, man. And I know a lot of them are not around, but I love that it should still maintain every tap dancer, and it should be no discrimination against the age or whatever. That's to me is what being very pure. A very pure as a tap family, man. I've been out here a while, and everybody know it. I've been teaching a long time. I teach at Old Town School for over 27 years, created kids programs and all kind of that stuff, schools, all kind of facilities and senior facilities, this facility, that, you know what I'm saying? Kind of making it happen. And the thing is that, and with us, nobody handed it to us on the silver platter. We really worked and earned it, man. A lot of us, like myself and other dancers, when we started and when I started, was no opportunity for a dancer. Matter of fact, they thought I was crazy, because it was like, why you want to learn a dance? Nobody do no more. You go to an agent, they turn you around before you even can step in the door, saying we ain't booked a tap dancer since 1953, 47, hit that door, send you out, man. But I had to go through all of that. But at the same time, that's when you learn how to create your own opportunity from it. And then that's where we was out there street performing in the subway, having fun and all of that. And then I remember when Cotton Club came out, and then when all the other musicals resurfaced, like 42nd Street, even later on was Noise and the Funk. But then you had Sophisticated Ladies with Gregory Hines in there. But man, when all those tap musicals and stuff start resurfacing, now everybody wants to learn how to tap, man. Then there they was down in the subway looking for you. Yeah, man, we want to do this Cotton Club thing, and we need a tap dancer. Man, that's when you had them, and then it's like the price went up.
Everything goes in cycles, and one minute you're the flavor of the week, and then the next minute you're vintage. And then and then it comes right back around.
So sometimes you up, sometimes you down, you win some, you lose some, but then it goes back to that song, that's life, riding high in April, knocked down in May, then you get set yourself back up, get back in the race, you keep moving, man. That's what Brownie would say, man. Don't worry about that. Just keep moving, And then that's what I liked about being around the veteran tap dancers at the time, man, because they had so much knowledge to share with you, because they even came up doing this at a much rougher time than a lot of us, and they were survivors, and they kind of give you more knowledge to go with whatever knowledge you have from your own experience to make you more of that visionary a kind of dancer, and a true, very respected dancer, especially when you have students and everybody that's looking to you for that leadership. And what we gonna do now? Where do we go from here? You know what I'm saying? I
Exactly.
got people and students been with me for years, 8 years, 9 years, and I have to give them something to do. So that's why I produce a couple of shows every year,
Right.
things like that. You should give them a platform.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are so many subjects that you've already brought up, and it's almost like where to start, where to continue. But one of the things I want to highlight that you mentioned is how for us tap dancers, because there are people who are tuning in or who will tune in who might not be so hip to our world and our ways, but we have tap festivals that are like family reunions for us. It's not just classes, it's not just performances, it's not just panel discussions or footage night or student showcase. Like, it's an actual family affair. And just like Reggio said, it's is only complete when you have all the generations. So at these festivals, we'll have everything from George's son to my nephew Xavion, like the kids who will be, they're older now, obviously, but the kids who will be running around in the background. Then you got the young, the youngins and the teenagers and the up and comers. Then you have, the folks, who are at from their 20s to on up. And then you have the elders, and one of the many things that tap has taught me is to bring everyone to the table, when it's a family event. You can have this and you can have that, but if you have everyone, then we can be complete. And so what I would like to talk about is the elders, and a lot of them who aren't with us anymore, but who I really appreciate. When I was younger, I got to come up respecting and honoring and learning to acknowledge those who came before me, and not just focus on what I want to say and what I want to do and what I want, and what the kids are trying to do, but to really look to the wisdom and experience and knowledge that those folks have, because they were in the classes, not just the classes they were teaching, but as me and Star and Sarah Reich and all these people coming up, we'd have the elders in the room, especially somewhere like St. Louis Tap Fest, where we could be taking
where you got that fascinating picture of all of us sitting there on the stage. That, man, what a classic! It just took my heart and my breath away when you posted that picture of all of us sitting on the stage. Man, what a as they say, a Kodak moment.
Yep. Yeah. And so, when this is over, I'm debating if I'm going to just leave them up as is, or if I'm going to edit these videos, but it'd be too much. This is only my second one I'm doing live, but it'd be too much to do right now. But in the future, I could share pictures live so people could see what we're talking about. But I think I might go in and edit and add some of these photos. And so, like my mother.
Doubt, man. Without a doubt, you should, man, because when you get through, you'll pretty much have a documentary and probably something that will make it through the test of time.
Oh man, yeah, we hope so. We'll see. We're taking it one moment at a time.
Yeah, they got too much technology out here now, where maybe in the years gone by it'd be difficult, but now, man, the technology lets you like store stuff up
Yep.
print it out, make
Yeah.
CDs.
Yeah. Everything. I mean, I'm like a kid in a candy store, honestly, like, to be able to do the things that I'm doing, because I remember, I'm that middle generation between, the old school way, and then once technology came in and it got into the future where we're at now.
Man, look, you talking about you. I was still playing cassettes when I was doing the workshop. And this was when the iPod and all that was out. Some
Yep.
little guys were in my class. They were about 13, 14 years old. They was out of Detroit. After the class, they said, "Come here, Reggio. We got to talk to you, man." And I was like, "Yeah, what up?" I said, "Man, that cassette stuff you playing, Rez, that's over with. You got to up your game."
That's amazing. That's
You got to
amazing.
get
Yeah.
your iPod and CDs, man. It was
Hmm.
some little guys like that that told me, man, I was still living in the past time zone with cassettes, man. And go to places, and I'm like, "You got a cassette player?" Cassette. Yeah, man. It took those little guys, man, and people like that to help me, snap out of being, in that path. Like, hey, man, this new technology out here, man. You got to be on top of all of that. So when you come in, to teach, man, you like, you're the state of the art.
Yeah. Yeah. It's honestly crazy because, I feel like I had it a little bit easier being, somewhat younger when technology came in to adapt with
Yeah.
it. But sometimes even me, I just hit 30 this year, but even with that, there are things that trip me up for a moment and I have to adjust. So it's constantly something new. I mean,
Yeah.
I had tapes, by the time I was teaching, it was CDs by then, but I got to experience, the VHS tapes and then cassette tapes. And then once it went to CDs, the crazy thing is we have these, iPhones and iPods and all that, but
Yeah.
what you could fit on here, is crazy. Like, for a CD, you have to have a CD case. People have binders, that you'd have to flip through
Yeah, I
like a
remember
book,
that. Yeah, carry
to
your
play one
CD.
song manually at a time. Now you could say it. You don't even have to press anything.
Yeah.
So,
I
it's not
know.
really the Jetsons, like, with flying cars and all that, but we're not too far off, Um,
Mhm.
so, yeah, but getting back to how I was mentioning having, everyone in the room at these festivals and at these events, being from Chicago, I'm really thankful that I was able to travel to these events with my family as the company I was a part of with Mad Rhythms. But then
Mhm.
you and Brownie would be there, or Ted would be around, or there would often be people from the city beyond just your individual crew
Right.
you're coming with, and
Right.
and I just really appreciate seeing the relationship that you had with Brownie while he was with
Mhm.
us,
Mhm.
and so I think it's only right that we get into that, because I'm curious myself to be reminded of how you all first got connected, but yeah,
Yeah.
like
It
just
was.
you go ahead.
I met Brownie. His granddaughter went to school with me and my sister. And I remember one day, I hadn't seen her for a while because I've been traveling in and out of town. And I came by. She was over, my sister was in town, and Brownie's granddaughter at the time came over to see her. And she asked me what was I doing. I said, "Oh man, I'm a tap dancer, man. I've been
Mm.
working on my tapping it." And she was like, "Oh, my grandfather's a tap dancer. He's up in New York." He said, "Next time he's in town, I'm going to introduce you to him." And at that time, I was with Urban Gateway, and with Urban Gateway, a lot of times you had to have a answer and question type of segment in your performance. So it made me have to go to the library and study. And I started studying in the library. I saw a tape of the copacetic on the Dick Cavett show. And
Mm.
that's when I first saw the chair dance. Same thing when I saw tap I fell in love at first sight. When out of all the dances I saw, when I saw the chair dance, that's the one that just hit me like Cupid again. Boom, shot that bow arrow, that arrow in me. I was amazed. So actually, I still remember the date I met Brownie in 1985. Jane Goldberg and them came to the Goodman Theater with a show called Shoot Me While I'm Happy. And Frances, that's her name, that's Brownie granddaughter. She called me and said, hey, my grandfather's gonna be in town. He's in the show at the Goodman Theater. You wanna go? We got a ticket. And I said, yeah. And I went to the show. And after the show, we went backstage. That's when I met Brownie and there was Buster. But at the time I was watching them perform, I had no idea that these were the original Copacetic. It was about Brownie, Buster, and Cookie. And in the show, they did the chair dance. Man, it knocked me out. I was like, oh my God, that's the dance I seen in the library. Wait a minute, that's them. That's some of them up there. Oh man, it all just hit me. And after the show, I couldn't wait to get backstage. So I made a Brownie then backstage. And that's when our acquaintance began. And then and I met Buster, Cookie, and it was Jane Goldberg. Diane Walker was on the show. But anyway, not too long after that, his granddaughter came and called me and said, you know what, Brownie is back in Chicago. Matter of fact, he's living with us now. So he kind of came back in Chicago after his last wife passed away, and long story short, and they, they set him up, renovated the basement in this one family house, made him an apartment down there. So I went over there and we met him. And then after that, it just came from there. He was showing me all, he felt good to have another tap dancer around him because all the other dancers, all his friends were still all in New York. So I kind of kept that tap thing going and I would get him to show me things, man. It was rough because he would show me stuff, but he would still be in his house robe and he would do it in his house shoes. He didn't put no taps on. And then he said, all right, man, watch this. And I had to watch it. And what made it even rougher was he was showing me stuff in house shoes on the indoor, outdoor carpet, man. And it was like, if you want it, here it is. And I had to get whatever you have to say, man, I'm going to do whatever I can to get this because this is like something that's been placed right on a silver platter in my hand. And I started doing stuff like that. And then I would get Brownie to come with me, like to classes when I'd be teaching and everything. And we got an offer. There was this group they called a Chicago Theater Company, but they was out on the South Side. They were doing some minstrel show and they, somebody recommended this guy to give me a call because he was doing a monologue that needed a little tap combinations in there. And then this minstrel show, and I asked him, well, who are you, who's choreographing the show? They said, we don't have one. And he said, and we're doing this cakewalk. And I was like, man, I know somebody could show y'all the cakewalk. And I said, and I was Brownie in them because I don't know if many people saw it. There's a routine that they're doing a cakewalk in with canes and stuff. I saw that. But anyway, so long story short, they put an article in the newspaper. They were so flattered by Brownie and his age at the time. And yeah, we got a real historian tap dancer. Then he's got his protege Reggio and all that. And then to tell the truth, Lane saw it, in the paper, and he invited, it was funny. I guess he called Brownie first to offer us an invitation to be in the TAP Festival. Right. And I guess Brownie told him, say, well, you got to ask my dance partner if, my dance buddy to be in the, if he wants to do it. He say he do it, then I do it. So when Lane called me and he was saying, hey man, I want you and your dance partner to be in my festival. I said, who? What partner are you talking about? He said, Brownie. I said, Brownie. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, man, I got it. Brownie had told people I was a dance partner before I even knew it, you know.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, and we did the festival with him, and then all the other people, Robert Reed, who, you know, bless his heart, and around all of them. Once that happened, then we started piggybacking. You know, Robert, once y'all come to New York, and you know, I know St. Louis, and
Right.
then we got on that circuit, and it just kept going from there. You know.
Man, that's such a blessing,
Yeah, it was like fate, and nature just taking this course.
right.
One thing led to another, to another, to another. That's how we got out there. And then, you know, and I stayed out there. The one thing I remember was doing an interview, and I learned so much, you know, all the routines from Brownie. A lot of people don't know you need the history, the verbal history, with a lot of the things that you are doing in tap, because I think when you have that, it gives your dancing more depth to
Yep.
it when you're dancing, where it's not so shallow because you're just copying what you see somebody else do. You know what I'm saying? When we did it, you know, it had more meaning to it. It's like when you sing the blues, you can't sing no blues if you never really experienced the blues, you know, and the pain and sufferings and stuff. You know, like when you see black singing the spiritual songs and gospel songs that were passed down from their generation, and slavery and stuff, man. That stuff hit you, man, it hits you so hard in your soul, you
Right.
know, you just like, wow. But so yeah, but anyway, he just started giving me so much verbal information along with the dances. And then I remember we'd see things, or we'd read something, and he could just say, hey man, that's not true, it didn't go like that. He'd say, I was around when this was happening and going on. This, what's going on in this book, that's just from whoever wrote this book, the author's point of view, but that's
Exactly.
not the real deal. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So those are things, oh man, it was just so much that you know, that was given to me firsthand information. And yeah, and we danced together until he was like 91 and a half. I'm pretty almost close to 92 years old.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it went from there, you know. And you know, people come up, man, Reg, we think you is what kept them going as long as you did, you know, bringing them back. And that's when, and a lot of people couldn't believe this comeback with
Mhm.
him when we
Mhm.
brought him, and I brought him back out there. And to tell you the truth, every award that he got came after we got together and brought him back out there,
Mm.
you know. And then it was amazing. I was hypnotized by the chair dance, and then it became me and his signature routine together. And
Yep.
now here I am, once who was looking at a dance that I was just love struck over. But now to kind of inherit that and keep it going is beyond my imagination. You know, it's like, you know,
Right.
something that's just from the tap dance soul or something, you know. And I'm so glad to be able to do that. And that's the other reason why everything that the dancers doing now, that all came from the tradition. You know, when our
Mhm.
forefathers attacked, they could never get to where they're at now without all what came before, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Yeah.
sometimes people don't even know
I
information that's
know where
being
it
brought
even
to them.
came from and how it come about and who's this and who's that. You know, you
Yeah.
see that, man.
Yeah. So, man, for those who are tuned in, this is really special. I know, for all the tap nerds like myself, this is great. But as again, for those who are maybe just tuning in, we're talking about, Reggio's relationship with Ernest Brownie Brown, who is one of Chicago's own. And,
Yeah.
he was a part of a duo, Cook and Brown with Charles Cookie Cook. And then, as Reggio mentioned just not too long ago, you know, they started a group in honor of Bill Bojangles Robinson.
Yeah,
Called
1949, right after Bill Robinson passed. They
Yep.
started the Copacetic in 1949, 21 members. You
Crazy.
know, that
Yeah.
started it. Yeah, and that legacy. Not only were they a tap ensemble, which were the best of the best at that era, but they were also like a social club because they were producing shows. And even now, when you do Tap City in New York, they always do the copacetic boat ride, which they were
Yep.
very famous for and started. I'm gonna keep going, but I think I got to say happy birthday to little George.
Oh yeah. You got it. You got it. Yeah. No. Go ahead.
Happy
Actually.
birthday to little George. George
Yep.
passed it. And what's so cool about it, a lot of people don't know. I did at the Black Ensemble Theaters in the 90s. I did choreograph and played. We did the Sammy Davis Jr. story, and I played Sammy's father in there. It was a great show. It was selling out every night. They just had to let the show go because their season schedule was getting behind. And actually, George's father was playing in the band in the orchestra band at that time when I was doing the show. So I you know, me and his father, we all back there, you know, going on for 3 months. So I worked with his father, which I was glad to say, you know. So now, you know, you have that, you know, and you kind of feel like, you know, like you have that connection, man. And I try to, you know, treat him like a big brother and all of that, you know, because of that connection. Now he's got little George, so
Yeah, man. Again, like, you know, the generations
yeah.
coming full circle. So yeah, happy
He's
birthday.
15. He's 15, man. He's a little dude. Actually, I know I'm older than you, Nico, but I remember when you was coming to the festivals and stuff too, man.
Yeah, right in
Getting it
that age
together.
range. Right in that
Yeah.
age range. You know, my
And
nephew.
I remember after you got a little age, man, up a little age, I think you might have been with Mad Rhythm. I remember even going and getting the back of some of your classes at the time, because I see you was coming on strong, man, and you was hitting them licks and all that, you know, there, just doing it, man. I like, oh man, let me go ahead and see if I get a few steps, you know.
For sure.
Yeah,
Man.
man.
Yeah, no, that's love. You know, I love how we all are able to give love to each other.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, like, in that time when I first started teaching, it's not like
Yeah.
I'm, you know, too greedy now or I'm keeping too much for myself, but you have to keep something for yourself. I didn't know that when I was
Man,
teaching. I was
I'm
like,
telling you,
everybody,
I,
look under your chair. It's a step like Oprah.
you gotta have some like me, a lot of stuff that I do, it personally, it would be so hard for me to teach because that's something that doesn't come from that kind of teaching thing. It's just some the way I express myself. And that was the thing when I got with Brownie. I remember doing the interview and they said, well, Brownie, we know what Reggio is learning from you. Is it anything you learned from him? And he said, yeah, how to teach. Because Brownie and them guys, he didn't know, he never taught, didn't know how to teach. You know, they just dance. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to learn from them, you just have to pick it up. Yeah, man, do this, do that. That's the way they taught. Not even really taught, but that's how you had to learn it. So when we started doing the festivals and they giving us workshops, especially the chair dance and all of that, it was a nightmare because when me and him would do it, I would just watch him and he'd say, no, do it like this, and he'd do it, now do it the way you would do it, and we just was like that. Wasn't no terminology, no shuffle, ball, change, skip, hop, jump. Oh, nope, you just had to go like that, man. That kind of training, and so when we started doing workshop, I'm like, how in the hell am I going to break all these steps down in terminology and teach people, especially chair dance? Because when I started that, man, it would be so many people in the class for that. We was in New York and performed on stage. Could have been about 40, 50 people up there. And man, it was so powerful.
Right, you had every chair in New
yeah.
York on that stage.
Yeah, we did, man. They had platforms and everything, trying to find more chairs.
Right.
But it was very rewarding to see that kind of participation of a dance that I just knew that was a classic and forevermore, man. I'm sitting there like every day trying to be like an archangel of tap when it comes to that piece, and you know, to make it people to respect it as what it is, and to do it with a certain amount of pride of that, you know, same way we do with Laura, all of
Exactly.
those classic routine, the BS course,
Yep.
these things, man, they are our tap dance classic. And you know, it's just like, you know, we just got to keep that respect going and tradition,
Yeah, no,
you
for
know.
sure. So, like, yeah, keeping us on track of your relationship with Brownie. Again, speaking for tap dancers who already know this, we're speaking to those who don't and those who are outside of this world, maybe tuning into it.
Mhm.
And so we have these classic dances that thankfully, like you said, we have people like an archangel or people like, who just come in to help, not just assist in classes, but in life, to legends who
Pass
are,
it on, keep it
yeah.
going.
Yep. To work with legends who are no longer with us, like Reggio with Brownie, or like Sarah Reich with Harold Cromer,
Harold, yeah, yeah.
and there are different people, who come in and make sure that they get passed on, these dances, and this information gets passed on correctly. And so
Yeah.
it's dope that you got to, get it from the source, and also take care of him in his, last years and all that beyond the shuffle, so just since you might have some insight for us, I want to ask,
Uh,
where did the chair, I know where the chair dance came from, but if you could just let people know where the chair dance came from, what it is, and like, is there somebody in particular who gets the credit for choreographing it?
the copacetic. I think there's, you know, like Honey did some choreography, a lot of them did choreography, and then
Right.
they kind of come up with ideas together.
Yeah.
So they always call it the copacetic chair dance, you know,
Yeah.
when we heard it. So they kind of got it, and once, I hear that from it kind of it's coming out of, well, I put a couple of things together when I did with Brownie because he was around. There were time at the Hoofers Club, you know, that's where all the tap dancers hung out and they challenged one another. And the guy who owned the Hoofers Club, which was down in the basement, and it had a pool table. If you ever watched the Cotton Club and they in the
Yep.
Hoofers Club, you'll see the pool table there. Brownie said, "Yeah, there's the pool table." But anyway, the guy, proprietor of this, what they end up calling the Hoofer Club, he loved tap dancers so much, he let them all hang out there 24/7, you know, all night long. But he just couldn't catch you sleeping. And
Yep.
some dancers would come down there, you know, some of them who hadn't worked in a while, were making no money, and they might get a gig and they so hungry and tired, they would sit in the chair and do their show dancing. And then I also kind of put in there where they would sit in the chair at the Hoof Club, and the proprietor, they couldn't catch you sleeping or you
Right.
get thrown out. So they'd sit in the chair, try to catch a little nap and pat their feet.
Mm.
And the copacetic, they kind of took all of that and just, created the chair dance out of it, which is so good. I love my son. Oh, okay. Yeah. You better read these texts for me because it's hard for me to look and read. And then if somebody's asking a special request while we up here doing this, I want to make sure
Yeah,
we
no, I
acknowledge
just told
it.
everybody, let's keep the group chat on hold. It's a lot.
Yeah, I want them to be like looking at me all cocky.
Yeah, you
You
shouldn't
want to get
have
my
to.
text. you
Yeah,
know.
you shouldn't have to be doing what I've been doing. I've been like an octopus with like 12
I know
hands.
I'm watching you, man. So I'm like, okay, I hope you got it under control.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's all good. You know, like we can tune into that when this is over.
And
But
I know Star, she a text master. She could text with one finger, man, while she tap dancing and
yeah,
everything, man. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh, you know, tap dancers, we got all kinds of skills. You know, we we can do all these things or figure it out.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but no, that's that's beautiful. Like you sharing that, because
That
it's a
history of
history.
that. Yes.
It's a history that I really, really, have been attracted to, allured to for many years since hearing people talk about it and then reading about it in different books,
Yeah.
and hearing, being in classes and hearing you and Brownie sharing it, so getting it from that source. So I'm glad that people are getting this who might not be so familiar.
Yeah.
So, so the um, so the Hoofers Club was open to, different dancers in general, but
Mostly tap dancers,
yeah, or yeah, I should say, sorry, it's different tap
Yeah, that's why
dancers.
it's the Hoofer Club, but it was the tap dances. That was it. That's where they got down there and went at it, challenges and everything. That kind of had that relationship with tap. Stealing
Exactly.
steps and
Hmm.
everything. Man, it was the Hoofers Club.
Yeah, yeah. And stories
Yeah,
of when people would come into the club and like, of course it was an event. You'd have the up and comers who everybody was looking to, but then you would have someone like Bill Bojangles Robinson come in the room
yeah. All
and
come through
everyone had to
there.
stand back and, bow down. And, so that's just something that I wish I could experience somehow. You know how they say
Yeah.
be a fly on the wall. I don't know about being a fly on the wall. I'd love to
Yeah,
get
that
some
was it.
steps myself to be engaged.
Then after that, when I started going to New York, it was called Le Car. That was kind of like the Hookers Club. They call it the University of Le Car now in the later editions of books and tap history.
Right.
Oh my God, that was hosted by Jimmy Slide when I was there, and Lauren Cheney, man.
Mm.
And all the dancers, man, they come there, boy. First
Yeah.
time I went there, they told me up, man. Woo! I never seen because the level of tap dancers had all migrated in New York, man, and they
Yeah.
was taking it to all the different levels. Jelly Last Jam was going on, so Save Ted, and then sometime come through after the show, all in the Hookers Club, man. And you had Jimmy hosting it with Lauren Cheney, the best of the best. This was the
In
tap
in
world
Le Cave, you're saying.
at the Le Car.
Yeah.
They,
Yep.
they spelled it, it's funny, it's spelled capital L-A and then capital C-A-V-E. And they pronounced it the Le Car. And actually it was like a little, like a supper kind of club where you could eat
Yeah.
and drink, and they had the stage up there, and they would have a trio. They wouldn't even have a drummer. They would just have what's it? Yeah, I think a piano and bass,
Yeah.
maybe a guitar, as far as
Right.
I can remember, but no
Right.
drummer.
Right.
So all the percussives was the tap dance, yeah. So everybody that man, that was a hangout, and it was funny because uh, Omar and Danny, they were called Toe Jam at the time.
Mm.
Um, um, Roxanne Butterfly would dance with another girl called Ginger from Paris. So this was that generation of all of us somehow coming together in the Lacab, and then Urban, he called himself Tumungo. And Jimmy called them his lions, man. Let me get my
Mm.
lions up here. Oh
Right.
my God. Woo!
That's nice.
Man, it was intimidating. And for me, because when I came there, this was a whole brand new world for me. I only knew the basics because I wasn't around this kind of caliber at the time. And I come in there And I was like, yeah, man, my name's Reggio the Hoofer and stuff. That was before I saw him dance with the Jimmy. So Jimmy said, oh, okay, Hoofer, you got your shoes? Yeah, I got them. He said, all right, well, maybe later on we get you up. I said, yeah, that's cool. So I'll be sitting right over there, I told him. Man, and when they got started and I saw like stuff I never seen before. Toe Jam, they were doing wings and everything on the toes, all of that. Urban was doing all of this native rhythm kind of stuff with his shoe. Lauren Chaney was doing all that stuff. Jimmy, they start singing, slide, Jimmy, slide, Jimmy, slide. Oh, shit. After everybody came on, then Jimmy, they said, oh, that's right. We got this little guy from Chicago called himself the Hoofer. Man, I was trying to sneak out the door, man. They're like, there you go, get him up. Man, and they threw me up there. Gosh, I was frozen. Like, they did everything you can do on a tap shoe. And I'm like, maybe I can do this. No, they did that. Maybe I could do that. And Jimmy, he starts you off. Before you start, he make you do a time step.
Right.
So he said, yeah, man, give me that little Midwest time step. And I have my own little style too. So Jimmy came into my ear, man. And this is the only thing that made me dance because it was nothing I could do to do any. They did everything you can imagine. And I guess I'm up there. Let's see how you get out of this, man. So Jimmy said, look, Hoofer, he said, we know what's happening right now. He say, but go ahead on and dance. He say, because if you go ahead and dance, we can see where you at. And once we see where you at, we can help take you from there to that next level. That's what made me dance. And then to top it off, the band started playing Chicago, Chicago.
I'm about to roll out of frame.
Oh my God.
This is hilarious because I've heard this.
Man,
I've heard this story before, and so that's so great that you just brought it up without me.
And I'm saying it because I just want to let other people know, man. I don't care how good you are, man. You can go somewhere and you can still get a run for your money. But then, after I had the guts to move on, and they just say, well, man, this girl got some game, Then I did start. I kept going back and forth. And then I started getting more welcome in there. People will work and show me stuff like that. But after coming in there and just getting blown away and like a lowest man on the totem pole, but now being able to say that hanging in there and to say now I got one of the greatest awards that you can get out of New York as a tap dancer, a Flowbird Award, and to say that I was a recipient of a Flowbird Award coming out of New York, that's my Oscar, man.
Hey,
that is my Oscar, and believe me, I paid the price for it. I paid the dues for it, man. Like I say, I'm not going to discredit myself and feel like, oh, I just got lucky. But I was coming back and forth where it hurts me sometimes when you talk to dancers who won't even go 20 miles to take a workshop or 5 miles to take a workshop. And I was going back and forth to New York, like you would go from your house to one of the dance studios here. My dance studio was going back there to get some of that stuff they got, man. Because I was coming back doing things that nobody had seen yet, like toe stands and all of that. At least around my thing, where I was at. And then later, when Ted started going up there, and then we brought Savion in, and they, did the workshop at Sammy Dyer and stuff, But at the time, and at the time, it wasn't a lot of tappers out there anyway. But still, here they were still we were all still in the making, But yeah, man, and then to come back up there under them. But I would go back and forth and stuff. And then you want some people, they want to sit down and put themselves on that same pedestal as you. But you're looking at them like, man, you ain't paying no dues, you know, yet to try to put yourself on that kind of a pedestal, you know, and stuff like that. So I kind of felt like that. Here you are, you want to even go down the street, you know, take workshop and stuff, and hear guys like us, you know, man, all of us, even when y'all got it, they New York, y'all over in St. Louis, y'all over in California. You remember that? We was all out in LA with Jason, all of them, man. We'll leave there, go to St. Louis, come back here and stuff. And then, man, you know, and I'm watching all you guys, Jamani, you, stop everybody out there. We got photos of that, you know. And then here's somebody wanting to go around the block. I'm not going to put them on that kind of pedestal, you know, of all the dancers who really been out there in the trenches and paid their dues, man. And, you know, you're out there, man, 3, 4 people all piled up in one room, about to get thrown out the hotel and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because they like, how many people in that room? You know?
Oh, yeah.
We all out there hooking in crooked, bad bottom, robs, you know, out there trying to get this, man, you know? Right. Paying more than just our dues, you know?
For sure.
Yeah, and these are stories that people don't understand. Then they see you up there, you know, doing that stuff with the greatest of ease and glamour and all of that. But they don't know what all the things we had to go through to get to that level. And not only that, you yourself and us, all the countries that we've been to, and crossing them borders and going through customs and where you going and all of this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, we all been in so many countries. I've been to a lot: Finland, Germany, Poland, down in Venezuela when Hugo Chavez was the president. You know what I'm saying? I've been to India. I've been a lot of places, man. And through a lot of customs, you know, Italy, all of that, you know. And then here you come, man. They looking at you now. What is this dude doing over here?
Right.
Hey, man, I'm just a tourist. I come to see the museum and stuff, you know.
Right. On vacation.
Then they look out and see a big picture of your ass on the poster. Man, you over here tap dancing.
Right.
That ain't me. That's him. Yeah, Brownie. That's who tap dancing. I'm just bringing him here, you know?
That's amazing. That is hilarious.
You're over there talking your way out of stuff, man, you know? And sometimes, man, they just have to give you the green light. Just go, man, because we wasn't sitting out here causing trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of that hooking and crooking, man. We was out here trying to get the art form, man, and dance and make a name for ourselves, and a good name. You know what I'm saying? A name with honor and nobility, Jack.
Exactly. You said it best. Yeah. You know, and we're just trying to share the love of the dance, and I'm so glad that you brought up paying your dues, and you know what it took for people to be where they're at now, and you know, all those times. Because the crazy thing is, you know, this week we're doing classes the way we are because of what we're experiencing in the world with, you know, this virus and this pandemic. But even before this, it is an interesting thing to see how people just want to become famous overnight, because we've seen so many, you know, young stars who they're just a star instantly. And these days, everybody wants everything so instant. But there is something to be said about putting time in, and, you know, putting work in, and getting to, you know, to move around before you expect people to just bring you around. You know, you have to show up yourself first. So, you know, we definitely had some good times at different festivals.
Yeah, but see, man, that's why a lot of them, man, they're very limited on stage. They could throw down for 5 minutes or so, and that's all. That's the end of that. You know what I mean? But when you're a very well-rounded person, you got routines. You know what I'm saying? You know how to handle a stage. Uh, uh, because like of what you're saying, want that instant fame, that instant recognition. So a lot of them skip the foundation and the roots and go straight for the gusto, but then it limits to them from being a very complete a dancer. You know what I mean? You watch how the seasoned dancers are, you know, they're always talking about the history, the choreographing, routine, just so well rounded, man, you know? And when you see those dancers just want to go bang, bang, bang and do some over the tops and all that stuff like that, then after that, there's no more depth. There's no depth, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like you said earlier, you have to get the stories, you have to get more than just the steps. And once you have that and you get it, you know, not just in your feet, but you get it in your heart and your soul, then you can actually dance it out and you can, you know, tell a story with your dancing.
Yeah, you tell a story, but then you a dancer. Like when I get on stage, man, it's just I just want to close my eyes and be a dancer from the heart. You know, where the people they just look at you, man, and they just get captivated. You know, I've been on a lot of stages, and that's why I used to like when you work with people on the stage, like with Harold Crumb, Mabel Lee, and all of those. They got up there, they were just pure entertainers and performers. They sang, they danced, and you go to some of the shows, and here come that other kind of generation, and they just get out there and they dance with that competitiveness.
Right.
You know, just want to go out there, you know, and just be with a competitive thing. I don't go out there to feel like I'm coming out there to blow everybody off the stage. I come out there and just be a dancer from the heart because I want to perform for the people who paid to come see me.
Exactly.
You know, and those people when they come and pay their money and come from far away to see you, you know, you really want to make it worth their while.
Right, right.
You know, and show your appreciation for them being there and whatnot, you know.
Right.
Plus now I done mostly all the stuff, so I'm not worried about anything of that, like you saying, the instant fame and the instant notoriety, all of that. I done got past all of that now. I'm at my cruising altitude.
For sure.
You
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
forget about this, right, Nico?
Oh yeah. So I was just about to say, let's get into some things very specific to you. So
Yeah.
those who don't know, you know, Reggio here has a book, and not every tap dancer can say that. You know, a lot of people should have some books, but Reggio thankfully has one. And yeah, so if you don't mind, you know, the Tap Dance of Life by Reggio McLaughlin.
Yeah, they could get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any bookstore can get it. They can order it. Every page, like here's a picture of me and Brownie on my first page, in case some people don't know or have. It's funny because when I go to my left, this camera, that's the right on the camera. See, so I have to talk. But anyway, me and Brown. Oh, there. All right, so that's me and Brownie on the page. So those who never saw that. So each picture, each chapter starts off with a picture, and then it goes into a story. And it's all, and after in each chapter, there's just something you learn from it, you know. And some of the things that I'm really talking about now are also in this book. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things that I talk about are in this book. I don't know, in the last picture I show, these are some of my tap shoes. I know people might have thought that this was just a photograph of me in some shoes. Them are my shoes.
Man, I ain't never seen that one. That's a good one. Man, see, I'm late. I need to get this book, and I hope that everyone else goes and gets it.
I got so tired of the same, you know, you only could buy black shoes, you can only just buy black or white, whatever. And when they start making all kind of colors, man, I stopped buying 3 pair at a time and stuff, man. I just started buying just shoes after shoes, and you know, and I love clothes. And if
Oh yeah.
anybody know me, they know I love clothes. I love being sharp.
Yep.
All the dances that I came up under, they were very snazzy dresses on stage, on and off stage. They just even Brownie, man, he had so much
Yep.
stuff. His stuff was from back in the day, but he looked like a classic in it, man.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
man, he loved turtlenecks. Go get my
Yeah.
turtleneck. He loved turtleneck, but he had all the nice clothes from his period. So, but when he put it on it, man, he was like a novelty. You know, you can see
Exactly.
nothing but the real thing. I
Yeah.
know me, I'm kind of flamboyant with
For
stuff.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would
Yeah.
love to talk more about the book, but while you mentioned it,
Uh-huh.
where did you get your style from? Where would you attribute, your flavor?
That one style, which is good. Most everybody know I'm more dominant as a flat foot dancer, even
Mm,
though I train and I could get up on my toes, and I do only in certain spots of music that requires a more of a lighter touch and crisp sound, like you do when you do a soft shoe.
yeah.
But there was a guy that many people are hip to. His name is Bobby Ephraim, and he
Mm,
was a flat-footed dancer, man, paddling, rolling like Lon Chaney and them. He really idolized a guy called Teddy, a dancer, Teddy Hill,
yep.
that Harold told me. But Bobby, from I got introduced to him. He was in New York for a long time, but Bobby was a loner, and Bobby came back to Chicago, and I was introduced to him, and um, I loved his style of that flat-footed of dancing. And when I was down in the subway, you had to compete against all the sounds down there in order to be heard. At that time, man, I needed to be bopped on my head, because when I went to New York and we started dancing in the street with this lady dancer, Jan is her name. She came in, she had a shopping cart, and she had a tap board. I didn't know what it was. She said, "Come on, I brought my tap board." Tap board, what is that? And it was like, you rolled it out, looked like one of them shades, you roll it out, and we danced on it. And I would sit there with my mouth wide open, like, I should have had this in the subway, because we're dancing on concrete. Oh my God. But so by being in the subway and had to compete with all the sounds down there, that's what made me do more flat-footed dancing and pounding, so I can be heard over the trains. And sometimes there was another musician might be at the other end of the platform, blowing a horn, or somebody playing the guitar. And if you wanted to be sound off, you had to hit it. So that style of flat, that it came from a variety of things. And then no matter who and where you learn from, you somehow end up like, I gotta be me. And you take what you got and you do it the way you would do it. Because I probably, if you play some tap tapes and just show people's dancing from their knee on down, I
Mm,
probably could tell you who that dancer is without seeing his face.
yep.
I even know I know your style too.
Mm,
If they showed me just your knees on down and you
right.
dance, I say, "Oh man, that's Nico."
Mm,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? "Oh, that's George. Oh,
Right.
that's real. That's it." You know how that go. You just see that.
Right.
Yeah, you could pick that up. I've seen other dancers do say the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, and when I was also, when Brownie would show me things, he never ever told me to do it like him. He always
Mm,
said, "Now, man, do it your way. Do
yeah.
it your way." No matter what he showed me, he would always say, "Do it your way. Do it your way." So that's why I'm saying all of them combination, and which I really like. Because when I first came to New York, I stood out because I wasn't dancing like everybody, the way they were learning in New York and the way they were dancing then. You know,
Right.
everybody was training up under that same trend and style, but I came in there, you know, totally new to that whole thing. So I just had my own way of being distinguished,
Right.
you
So
know.
you mentioned Bobby Ephraim. Was he who inspired your style a little bit of like a
The
fashion?
flat foot and paddling kind of a style. And he's from Chicago, actually. And Brownie and them knew Bobby too. And Brownie told me they actually were trying to get Bobby to be a copacetic, but he didn't want to be one. He was a loner, man. He was
Mm,
a loner, that kind of guy, man. And it even took a while for, you know, for me, him to open up with me and start, you know, it's becoming buddies, you know.
yeah.
And he was just a cool guy, man. He wore a three-piece suit every day. No
Mm,
matter where he was going, what he was doing, he always had a three-piece suit on, man.
chilling. Well, that's what I
But
was saying. I actually meant like where did you get your dancing style, but where did you get your dressing style, like in that flavor from?
from I by being it's a combination of first being starting as a musician,
There it
you
is.
know, and I
Yep.
was around all the good, like in the performers. I played it as a teenager. I played in Apollo 3 times, man. One of
Mm,
the groups we played with, Lost Generation, we opened up for James Brown for about a year, traveling, and then we've been, theater back then with Gladys Knight and the Pips, Delphonics, all these groups, Cool in the Game, all of them. That was the time, man, being an entertainer, you had to really dress. And then I like the rock style too, man, because I hung out in Haight and Ashbury and California and all of that. And I like it as a musician. So I kind of got caught up with the rock style look and the tap thing. Because I to this very day, I know a lot of people don't, but I love dancing in spats.
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
love
definitely
spats.
something you're keeping alive because I don't see
I
that all the
love
time.
spats. I
Yeah.
like, man, where my spats at? You know, you know, and some times I don't, but for all my career, mostly I always had spats on. I just like that style. But then with the rock thing, I like the colors and all of that, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And I remember in a magazine article, Tony Wag was kind of saying what each dancer would kind of represent something. And when he came to me, it's like, oh, that's Reggio. He's like the Jimi Hendrix thing on taps because I come out there with
You
flowers
had
and
that whole
all
flavor.
kind of
Yeah,
shit. Yeah.
that's funny. He said Jimi Hendrix because I was thinking you're like the Bootsy Collins of tap or something like
Yeah,
that.
you know what was so funny? When we was touring up with James Brown, Boosie was playing bass, so I knew
Mm,
Boosie pretty well. You know, we'd sit in doing the shows in the break, man. We all, you know, sit and talk and all that kind of stuff like that. So I know Boosie from when I was playing bass out there. I know a lot of people that I don't talk about, but I do talk about it, some of it in the book. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
dope.
and it
That brought
was
us back to the book. Like
yeah.
I'm sure that it's a great read. And
It
I didn't
is
know
a
that.
great read because you'll be surprised of so many things that I uh, uh, came through at such a very young age. And when I was playing and around all those entertainers and stuff, it came so fast and young. I never thought anything about it. It felt natural to me.
Right,
It just
right,
felt natural, you know. Now, where if I take pictures of everything, I think about that, you know. Hey man, what's happening? How you doing? You
right.
know, I went to the Grammys one time and I bumped a cool in the game. They were a house band and we was all staying in the same hotel, so everybody would go downstairs, sit on the bar, man, and you know, hey man, what up, cool? I used to play out of his amp. We was on a 30-day tour, us, Curtis Mayfield, Delphonics, Cool in the Gang, a
Wow.
group of us. So I used to play out of amp on the tour all the time, man. So it
Wow.
was real great. People don't even know Cool from Kool and Gang is the bass player.
That's great. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's the bass player in the band.
wow. Yeah. You know, people don't know a lot of the behind the scenes things. And that's why, again, I'm grateful to be doing this podcast because, as you mentioned earlier, you know, stories get lost and missing. And, you know, at
Yeah.
least in this way, we can encapsulate, you know, these moments of some conversations. And this is all really interesting to me because I love everyone that you mentioned. You know,
Yeah.
you've been to my spot once before, and I don't know that you got to see all my records, but I have a thick collection of funk and
I saw
soul
your
and
album sitting up there, like
yeah.
oh, the vinyl and all that stuff, and your turntables. I was gonna ask you, what do you do, man? You be up here, you're a house DJ because you had so much equipment and the turntable, and only people I see with all that kind of stuff was the DJs who would go out and play in the clubs. And I was like, man, do you do your DJ here or what? Wow, we're just
Yeah, yeah. So the
vinyl and all that stuff in your turntable. I was gonna
oh,
ask
oh,
you,
hold on, sorry.
hey man, somebody's imitating me. How you do
That was
that?
me. I was getting ready to play something in a moment that
Oh, okay.
I didn't you didn't know was gonna come up,
Happen.
but no, so I've always been interested in DJing and music and all of that. And so let me make sure this doesn't connect this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, like I don't want to say I'm a DJ because you know I'm still learning. But actually last year when this show that I produced, I choreographed it, I performed in it, and also live I DJ'd it as well.
Wow.
Um, and so that's something that I'm thankful that once this is over, I'll have more time to work on that. And also last year, or no, it was this year in February, before everything went down, I hosted a tap jam that I actually DJ'd live, you know, and so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing that more. But I love all genres, so that's the only thing that's interesting for me is like, do I do just a house set, you know, when
But
I'm
man,
vibing,
but
soul,
that's
jazz, mix it all up, hip
man,
hop.
but that's how you survive out here when you got a lot of different varieties of talent. Because when one thing is slow, you can go into another thing. Like, now that I'm into working in my acting field now,
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
before we get to that, because yeah, I want to talk about that. There's
uh,
something that I didn't tell you I was going to play today that I wanted to, you know, keep spontaneous. But
okay.
you have a relationship to house music. It might seem. I
Oh,
was digging
yeah.
in the
Let them
crates
know I
one
have a
day.
house track.
I was digging in the crates one day, and
Uh-huh.
you know, I'm constantly looking for not just music but features with tap dancers, and
Yeah.
I find something.
That's my house track.
I find this, and I'm like, wait, because I see your name on it, and so I download it, and I'm listening, and I'm like, is he about to jump in? And then we get the classic house Chicago feel where you know it just builds. It's just a groove. You know, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And then I think, is this where you come in?
Sometimes I'm up.
Sometimes I'm down. I might leave you, baby, then come back around. But nothing's good. And then I have that. Yeah.
Man.
Sometimes
I got money.
when I'm
Broke.
walking around, living on high hope. I tell you the truth, and I tell a lie. Cover it up with an alibi. Can you love me?
Yo, Reggio, this has been really hard to hold to myself for so long. I'm like, whenever I get him on the podcast, I'm gonna have to play this
Man,
joint.
what a shot. Yeah, that they did this guy on the west side, his name was Triple T. We did two compilation house track, and that was on the Chicago Hold Down. No, Homeboys. That was a Chicago Homeboy, And now, yeah, because I was back, I was still in my music day. That's why when I was playing bass, that's why I learned how to write songs and all of that around the writers and everything. Well, like now with Strike Up My Feet and all of that, I'm in the studio because I'm working on putting that out on a CD with a couple of other songs. I have another song, my one of my co-producer director he wrote, it's called Reggio and Brownie, a beautiful piece, man. It's kind of put you in that Mr. Bojangles vein. And then another one called I Gotta Dance. So I have a few tunes I'm gonna try to get out there. So during this pandemic, that's what I've been kind of using it for, to go back and start trying to, you know, complete some of these projects that's been lingering around for a long time. One thing I want is like even my book, that didn't happen overnight. I was messing with this book for 10, 15 years. I had people, a couple of writers I would dictate on recorders. They're going to help me write my book. They all fell by the wayside. And I got to a point, I said, man, if I'm ever going to get this done, I'm gonna have to do it myself. I had no training in writing or anything. I just picked it up. And then the last person that was helping me with it, she was writing it in the third person. And the concept was me in a dream, coming in and out of this dream telling this story. And I had to talk to her to find out how do I could continue with that in that direction, man. So that's how I end up really getting it out, man. It would have been lingering for a long time, man. So, you know, it ain't nothing that just happened overnight. And y'all know, Strike Up My Feet, I've been doing that ever since I've been out there, you know. And now just to say I'm trying to get in the studio and get it out there for real, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, one thing I haven't talked about too much, like publicly, is something I've been thinking on for a few years now. Is just like, you know, we got to be thankful for where TAP is and where it's been and all of that. But also, it just sometimes baffles me to think if this was like, if TAP as an art form was like music, where you know, we could sign contracts, people could put, you know, invest money into us doing things to get projects out that would go on wax, either, you know, musically or video wise. We'd be in a totally different space, you know. But the way that our art form is, we end up oftentimes having to just do things ourselves to get it done.
You know what, man? You just took the words out of my mouth, because every opportunity from when we came out there, even when I talked about starting, you know, dancing Subway, you don't get that help until you can yourself get to work where you can get this to a certain level. And once you get it to that level, and those institutions saying, oh man, we can make money off this, let's go get them. That's how they did rap music and NWA and all of them. If you saw the movie Compton, they always out there, and Hammer and them was selling their music from out of their trunks of their car. They didn't accept that right away when they went into all of that stuff. These guys, man, they made it happen. They out there giving shows, doing their music, doing their thing. They selling videotapes and all that out of their car. So, you know, that's the same thing that I'm saying. You have to make that opportunity. Believe me, once you get it to that level where the mainstream see that potential in it, and that, hey, man, I think we got something here, that's when they come and running.
Exactly. You
know?
Man. That's why I'm, you know, putting in the countless hours that I'm doing, just like many other people have. You know, when you feel like, okay, I could just keep dancing and doing what I do and getting hired when I do, and also waiting for the phone to ring. Or, you know, if you have some vision and some drive, you know, let's just, you know, put it together ourselves, or if it's just you, however it is, to get it out there. So speaking of, you know, you, like you mentioned, for your book, you ended up doing, you know, a lot writing in the end.
Yeah, I had to complete it. I had to just do it myself, finish it off myself.
Yeah, so that's, you know, that's very admirable. And then two things I want to talk about is for one, the shows that you have produced yourself. But if
Yeah.
we could first start off going back to the copacetics, because one of the things that I've been paying attention to since, years ago of ambitions to produce things. And now that I've, done things in recent years, just, I like to look at like who has done what I'm trying to do before, and there are tap dancers who their career is just them getting hired, the Hoofers and, the people that we really look to, that, they would have maybe an agent or somebody where things are handled, they get hired and they, get up and just go to the gig and that's it. But then there are people like the copacetics who ended up actually producing some of their own events and things like you mentioned,
Yeah.
the boat ride. So since you may have some insight, could you share with us like what they produced and what they brought to the table as a team and as a, a unit?
They were producing like Brown used to say, like Gregory Hines and them. They would dance when they was coming up. They would dance. They would hire them to be on some of their shows.
Right.
Because they would do also in the bars in Harlem and that thing. They did it like that. Um, and bringing in a lot of some of the dancers now, that, like I say, Gregory and them, you see one with Lionel Hampton, you see the Sandman Sim, but they would book other tap dancers to create works, and they paid dues. He said it was a social club, so when they had their meeting, they paid the dues and everything like that.
Right.
If I had thought about it, I had they had a little book. It's a copacetic book. They little code of ethics, man.
Wow.
It's somewhere. And also, I told you I have the Brownie's original copacetic, the red and white black jacket, the pinstripe red, white jacket. I have that too.
Yeah.
And I have a pair and his shoes they danced in and that outfit. I also have another pair of shoes that Maceo Anderson signed and gave to me from the Four Step Brothers.
Wow.
Wow.
Maceo shoes. Were they his shoes?
Yeah, they was here. They shoes. They always were basically had roots in Chicago and was living here for a long time. And I didn't know there was a store on 87 off of King Drive around Calumet that stayed open 24 hours a day. And I never knew Spencer owned that store or the Step Brothers.
Yeah. He owned a grocery store.
Yeah, it was a grocery store. I used to go into it. Everybody used to go because it was the only store you can go shopping at that stayed open 24 hours a night. And you would come always up there to get you some food, man. If it's late, 2 or 3 in the morning, they would be open all night.
That's crazy. I mean, honestly, the history and connections that tap dancers have to so many things in the world, like is almost one of the greatest, and kept secrets that shouldn't be secret. It's like there's so many things like that, and tap dancers have just been so intertwined into history. But so getting back to the copacetics, what kind of events did they produce specifically, like besides the boat ride? So like shows or
they put shows, like they give shows in the clubs and in Harlem and all that. They pay dues every whenever they had their social club, they pay dues, and then they use the money to raise money and put on shows like we put on our shows like we do. That's what they did.
Yeah, and when you're saying, for those who don't know, because sometimes things start as like what they are and then they turn into just a catchphrase.
Right.
Paying dues doesn't just mean like you took class. Like if you're in a group, paying dues means like actually paying, money.
Right? Going through that trials and tribulations of that too. Yeah. And like you said, the copacetic boat ride, that was just one of their functions that they would produce every year.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really, really cool to hear about. And so before we talk about the events that you've produced yourself, I want to ask again about the copacetic. what do you know about their cane dance? And is that also like the
That was Cookie and Brownie's main routine. They did the
yeah,
Copacetic didn't do that. Brownie and Cookie did that and created up. And it's funny because if you ever watch them do it, they just into it. It's not
hmm
so choreographed the way I had to choreograph it to make it a production number out of it. But I was lucky having Brownie there with me when I did start choreographing it when we do it in a festival because everybody in New York, yeah, we want to do the cane dance like they do with the chair dance. Now I had to figure out how do I turn this into a production number and everything. And the only good thing that I like about it, even though I enhance it and whatever, but still the main ingredients and everything is still in there where you know exactly where it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? With
right,
the cane dance. Yeah, and it was funny what people don't know, like you had this long cane, but what they would do, they cut the cane in half where it was a small one, and that forces you to have to bend over.
yeah,
Because if you have a lot of people when they have the long cane,
yeah,
they just stay up straight. But
yeah,
you actually became the character old man time. So in order to make you so you could then have no choice but to be over to hit the
hmm
ground, the cane was cut in half. So it was a very small cane, and when you hit it, you had to get really over to hit it.
yeah.
You
No,
know?
that's amazing because you know there's a really nice photo of Cook and
Brownie.
Brown, yeah,
Yeah.
Brownie and you know Cookie, where they're
Yeah.
they're definitely bent down. They're not doing the you know Berry Brothers standing up, you know, kind of vibe.
Yeah, with the cane, the classic of spinning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The Step Brothers do a beautiful cane dance too. I remember, when Maceo he would come to Chicago and stay part of the year, and what people don't know, Step Brothers was coming up out of Chicago, and one of the members, Al, he started a booking agent here, and this guy I talked about, Bobby, he was being booked out of this agent, and her name was Melba Cartwell, and then she took me on too after with Bobby, and she was the one that introduced me. She said Maceo Anderson is in town. He's one of the original four Step Brothers, and I want to hook you up with him. And that's how I met Maceo. But the agency that she was, Al, that was a member of the Four Step Brother, he actually started the agent, and she was his lady. And then when he passed away, she took that agent over. But Al, the
Mm,
Step Brothers, one of the Step Brothers started the agent here. And then
great.
Maceo had a daughter here. So you know how it
hmm
all just, you start getting hooked up with other people just from the relationships that you would make with people that's in the business, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they
Yeah.
start
No.
connecting you with other
Mhm.
people in your field.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, like it only makes sense for Chicago because you know, these days we have memes, these pictures, you know, that are either
Uh-huh.
text or you know, whatever. But one of the things that people will say is, you know, hopefully in life you'll find somebody who loves you like people from Chicago love their
Uh-huh.
city. And you know,
Yeah.
we have a very you know strong love for this city, and it's made me look into not just the people, but why geographically you know on the map are we you know such a force over over time. And so us being in the Midwest, our railroad system from the East Coast to West Coast to where we're at and then down, like everything connects in Chicago from the entire country. So
Man, one of the greatest highways that they talk about, Route 66, started in Chicago. Right there begins right where the Buckingham Fountain is. That's the beginning of Route 66. And then as you go down that going west, and this goes all the way to California, you know, right now, that's been like one of the big, like the eighth wonder of the world, the motorcycle guys and everybody want to do that Route 66
Yeah.
Travel thing from the beginning all the way to where it ends in California. I got as far. I was on it, man, for about 6 hours, and I was still in Illinois because you was stopping, and you know, you go in those little malt shops and all that. That was back during that period, and they had little hotels. So these were just like, and then you had souvenir places and everything. I gave up after 6 hours, man. It would probably took me 3 weeks to, you know, because I was with friends and they wanted to stop and see this, and you stop and see that. Then they had the Route 66 Museum in this part of Illinois and all of that, man. But yeah, but we
Yeah,
was a good connection.
exactly. You know, whether it's through that expressway line or the railroad lines, but a lot of tap dancers spent time in Chicago, and you talking about, you know,
Oh, big
Maceo and the
time.
Step Brothers. It reminds me of when I was blessed to have the times I had with Bunny Briggs, and he would tell me about his time in Chicago, staying with the Whitman sisters. That the Whitman
Yeah.
sisters like lived right across the street from the Regal Theater, and you know,
Sammy Davis Jr. was living here. They named that 31st Street him. Four Step Brothers coming out of here. Cook and Brown came from out of here. They all migrated to New York because that's where the work was.
exactly.
You know, and that's where they had to go if they wanted to work. You know what I mean? Like people when they got in the movie theater, movie and stuff, they would for a long time they had to go out to Los Angeles. You
Right.
know, because they were doing all the filming there. They wasn't doing like a lot of the filming in location, on location like they're doing now. And then like we got Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, the
Mhm.
shot, all of that stuff being filmed here. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
now you could get some acting work without going out of town.
Exactly. And honestly, I'm really, you know, really thankful for the opportunities that are coming up for all the entertainers that we know, you know, in our
Yeah,
different circles, in the same circles. Because, you know, when you're a tap dancer, we live in a very specific world in a specific orbit, but we're still connected to the rest of the universe and the arts and entertainment. And so I know singers, I know musicians, I know actors who are now no longer having to move, you know, to go to
yeah,
LA to get in a movie or a show, or to go to New
yeah.
York to get in on
Right.
stage or something. So it's a beautiful thing. Like honestly, you know, there's not a lot of Chicago artists and artists from different places who don't end up eventually going to New York or California to make it, you know. So I'm just
Yeah.
thankful that we're building, things have been built, you know, and we're building even more so that we can all stay here, because that's been something that's been important to me for years, is to just try to stick it out and do what we can do, you know.
Yeah, but also you know, no matter where you go, you never really can forget where you came from and where it all began. So you have that pride for your city, regardless of what. You have a pride for that.
Right.
I could have moved a lot of places. I could have been living in New York, you know, staying up there because with Brownie, his whole legacy was there. We was always going there at least 2 or 3 times a year. But
Right.
I chose to stay in Chicago because as I would say, Chicago, my hometown, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And you know, from my song, I started off. Hey,
Mm.
my name Reggio. I'm from Chicago, you know. So you can hear that pride of being, you know, hey, I'm Reggio, I'm from Chicago. And it was funny because that's when I would see everybody on the East Coast. Hey, Reggio from Chicago. And Sarah does it all the time.
Oh yeah, you know.
Reggio, I'm
Yeah.
from Chicago.
Yeah,
So,
no, you know, we're all gonna be hyped once that song is out, you know, and we could
yeah.
bump that, you know.
Yeah, now that you the DJ, you're gonna be the first one, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already, you know, man, I guess I should, you know, I can let people know from this event that we're hosting, the Last Shuffles. One of the things I was going to include actually in the pre-recorded classes, I was going to give a free video of me doing a mix that people could
Yeah.
just improvise to, that I was just gonna give for free.
Wow.
But
Okay.
it was too much, going on for me to be able to like
Yeah, to make it
actually
happen.
do that. So, I still plan to do that, and I want to include not just, different tunes that would be dope to dance to because they're cool, but like I actually want to play your track, your house track, and I want to play some of,
Nice.
Gmo's pops music and Trey's pops music, and some of the music that tap dancers are really connected to.
She
And
shot, yeah.
yeah, I saw Star's text. So,
She
so
talking about your PD, but it's the shy.
right, yeah. So,
It's the
yeah,
shy
we
that
could
she's
talk about
talking.
music, but let's either way, man, we could be talking for 30 hours in a row, but
Man, we've been moving straight down the line. I didn't realize that we're talking this long. I ain't never talked this long
it's
with
only been
nobody.
5 minutes so far.
Yeah,
Not-
it feels like it, but yeah, see, like
right,
I
but
started to but it's the shy.
yeah, so you might as well, share with the people. Not only have you written a book, not only have you been on
Uh,
stage, here, there, around the world, from the subway to the streets to,
yeah.
all over the world, but you actually are getting, your acting chops up and have been.
Yeah, it was really coming along, and then the pandemic kind of slowed it down. Yeah, and it was good. Like with the shy, uh, I had got a co-starring role with that, and which was in the first season, episode 3, called The Ghost. I play a homeless guy called Doomsday, and I get into it. You see me once rolling a shopping cart, but that's to get so that when I come in with my speaking part, the director was saying, I don't want you like come out of nowhere. So he wanted to bring me in where people could get familiar with seeing me, and then they see me again. One thing, I've studied that. I've done musicals and stuff. I really have talked about. And so I felt like my dancing was at that altitude, and now I like to go back and start getting back into my acting thing because I felt I'm established now. Uh, but it's hard. It's very hard, and when you audition, it's very hard, and you have to beat people out for those roles, man. You
Oh
have to
yeah.
beat them out. And I remember there's a guy I used to come to. I'm gonna tell you what happens. There are people I can't go to, and you get them to help you with your monologues and stuff, and they're teaching you because they're actors.
Right.
And then sometimes when you get to an audition and you don't realize you and that same person teaching you are auditioning for the same role.
Right.
And then you get that role, that's it. They don't teach you no more. That's it. It's over, man. Now
Right.
you become the competition instead of, you know what it is? So that happened to me, man. After I got that role, I beat some people out, man, and that's that. No more advice from me, man. But yeah. So that I really like that. Yeah, I got that good role. I could join SAG, eligible for SAG, which is very
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
notch, man. You could get that out the
Right.
gate. Yeah,
Get
so
that
I'm
SAG
blessed.
card. Yep.
Yeah, I can do that anytime I want. And then I like the older guy was in the part. I really like when you wasn't shooting your scene, you sitting on the side talking with all the other actors in there, and one of the older guy, he was way back in the day in Cooley High, you know. So we would talk about everything in Chicago, and and all of that. So that was a big break. And then I've done another commercial. I'm doing like a tap flamenco kind of a style that I was telling they were showing the movie theaters. They were going to show in the movie theaters starting up in Muskegon because I had to go there to film it. It's something that's sponsored by Walmart. It's called the ZP Challenge. But they have a social media app and what they put it on. But then they have a 3-year buyout. So they sit on it and put it wherever they want, all the way up to maybe 2023. So it takes a while to kind of break that ice in, man, to get into that groove, man. And I felt like I was about to do that. And then the pandemic shut down all the filming and everything. But it's hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's very hard, and you have to study. And the thing was, when I was shooting that part of me, and the cop was into it about the phone, and I'm telling my man, ain't gonna help no devil and this and that. The scene was going good, and then the director wanted you to keep going. So then I had to start improvising the rest of the way out. You know what I mean? You put you on the spot, and I had to just respond and improvise on the spot, man.
Right. Hey, I mean, who better though? Like, honestly, you know, on it. The crazy thing is, once we get a camera on us, it's a thing where you have to try to not think about it and just stay in the world you're in. But if there was a camera behind, a secret camera following you, you could have been on the screen just with who you are naturally. So I'm sure that you locked in. Are you talking about the scene where y'all were under a viaduct?
Under the bridge, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a little bit.
After he stepped on my hand, and I'm like, damn, man, and all of that, and then keep going, and keep responding, man, until he moved off, man. You got to complete it out. And then the other thing was, I was studying the scene from one way, and actually when we started shooting, the director changed the whole scene around. And now I had to throw away everything I was working on and just, go with the flow of where it was going.
Yeah, that's show business. It's crazy how much, we could be as prepared as we want for this thing.
Yeah.
And whether it's the director or the weather, will point us in another direction.
You get up there, they could change it at a drop of a dime. All right, man, that's out now. We decided we're gonna go with this and do this and da 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 da.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway,
no, that's dope. So you've been on The Shy, and there'll be a commercial that people can check you out in. And honestly, I know people who are at CineSpace, where they film a lot of I know a few different people who are on all those shows: Chicago Fire, Chicago PD.
I know other people too.
So they've been some of them have gone back to work, and then things have gotten it's a tug of war thing right now. It's a back and forth. But I think for this year, a lot of people think that in a couple of days the clock is going to strike midnight and everything's just going to go back to normal, but either way, I don't know, we don't know what's going to happen, in the future. But I think if we keep, some positive energy in the air, maybe we can manifest things coming on back. So
but you know what, you're right. I think that's what's happening with what everybody's doing, especially what you're doing, man. When you was talking about this, and at the same time you're talking about, hey man, I got to do Last Shuffle and this and that. They on the news talking about there's a surge in the virus now. People was traveling to Thanksgiving. Now I'm listening to that, then I'm listening to you. Yeah, Rez, I gotta do this, man. I want you in the shit. Then I get through talking to you, then I look at the news. Oh man, it's 5,800 more people that got the virus in it. Then I was going through this tug of war, man. Stuff, man. Am I gonna do this and all of that? Man, you getting pulled this way, that way. And then it was just like, man, Nico is very strong and got a good, strong belief, because he's like, hey, man, I'm not letting that stop me. I'm going to just try to figure out a way we can do it as safe as possible. And the show must go on, or the beat must go on. Yeah. And I would feel like, well, man, if they can do it, Nico at it, George coming down from Milwaukee, Trey up there, I say, well, fuck it, I can go do it,
Yeah, no, and it's in the end, it's such a blessing that we were able to get as much done as we were able to get done. I feel like, I feel like for me, the way that I create as an artist and I produce so far, I don't start with like a canvas and I start from the first drop, of the brush. I feel like a sculptor where I start with this big block and I want to do this whole thing but then I gotta like chip away and get down to what it's gonna actually
Well, I
be.
know one man, you was the driving force with, getting people to come on with it and stuff like that. Cause at first, man, I remember I was telling you, man, I don't know, Nico. They got a surge out here and stuff and
Right.
all of that and this and my mother, I got to see her and whatever, man. But I think seeing your determination, the dedication, and then, you start feeling like people need to see that from us, to keep this hope alive, man, that we're going to work through this. And I think they need to, see that. And it seemed like everybody that you with, we all been like those really 24/7 die-hard hookers, man. Like ain't no mountain high enough, no valley low enough, man, to keep us away from you. You know what I mean? The beat is going on, and I think that is like, how true can you be? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's kind of like the highest level.
Yeah, no,
the love for that dance, the love for that, the visionary for the people, and keep the faith. We out there.
Right. Yeah, man. We got to. It's like Chuck Green said. You have to know how much to say. So like it's an interesting thing, not just as an artist, but as a human being, period, just knowing when to push, when to pull, and when to chill, and it's really hard in a year like this to know when should we try to push to make something happen and when should we just let the cards fall where they may. But I'm honestly very thankful and feel very blessed that we were able to accomplish what we did. And we had all these pre-recorded classes, but in a moment, I do want to talk about some of your events, but just since we're talking about the last shuffles right now, yesterday we were able to have our 2 live classes. The rest of the classes are all pre-recorded, but we were able to have 2 live classes with you where, you taught an all ages, all levels class that was, the copacetic chair dance. And then you taught for our intermediate Bill Robinson's New Low Down, and that was really special, and a good amount of people came for both of those, and it was a connection from Chicago to the rest of the world, just like
I was very pleased with the turnout for that, because I had no idea, and under the circumstances on a Monday afternoon when people really working or whatever they're doing,
Right. So what was that experience like for you? How did you feel doing
You know what? It was such a great experience because it gave me more confidence when it comes to teaching Zoom on the internet, because when everything was first moving in that direction, I was like, I ain't teaching on no internet. I can't do that. I don't even know how to get on Zoom. How you do it? Oh man, I was like, I can't do it. Then all of a sudden, you come to your senses and say, hey man, if you want to survive, you better learn how to go with the flow.
Yeah, we got to switch from tape to the CD to the iPod.
Man, I say, well, let me start. So I don't know how people do that or whatever, but I started off with some few independent classes until my school started opening up, and we did a few classes with them. And then I thought, okay, I'm getting better with this, and I had to take chances, like on the job training, what worked, what doesn't work. And the workshop I did with you, other than me teaching classes, that was the first workshop that I ever did on Zoom. What I did with the last shuffle. And it turned out so well. I'm like, all right, Reg, you're getting the hang of it now, so it kind of built up my confidence. So if something like that happened again,
Right.
And to see the results of the people taking the class, everybody was getting it. It was no problem. It just ran so smooth that I really just fell in love with all the people and the students that was doing the class and everything. It was just like, what a great feeling, what I mean?
Man. Yeah, and honestly, again, for those tuned in, first I should say thank you to all who are tuned in.
Yeah,
If you
me
could just
too.
do us a favor and like this video while you're here and subscribe to our channel so you can see when more things are coming down the pipeline. I haven't been doing too much promoting, but I should say that much. But again, this episode today is a part of our annual end of the year event. And at the end of this crazy year where people are teaching on Zoom and all of this, we're teaching and taking classes from our living rooms and our dining rooms.
Yeah.
And I honestly, a year ago knew I wanted to have you involved in this workshop, and I didn't know that this year it would make so much sense to do the chair dance. It just, to me, it felt like the greatest opportunity. Everyone's in their house anyways. You're sitting in a chair, watching TV. Why not turn the TV off and tune into Zoom, and join us? You could be like, Reggio wearing your taps, or you could be like Brownie in your slippers, in your house shoes, and still do the dance.
Yeah. And not only that, you don't even have to be in Chicago. You don't have
Exactly.
to go nowhere.
Yeah.
All right, we're bringing it right to you in your living room.
Yeah, our railroad and our Route 66 is now Zoom, so we were able to connect to people, from here to Mexico. It was folks in Europe, so it was a beautiful thing. And
man, I just felt so honored seeing Lisa Latouche there. She's up, I guess she's in another state, but just to have her there, she, was also great. And then all the other dances and everything.
yeah,
It was just great, and just really great, man. I was able to make the transition into this and, keep it going, man.
right. Yeah. And
And from
again,
your production too, man, giving you credit as being the visionary for what you're doing and making it happen, man.
and I appreciate it. Like
Yeah.
we all have to do what we can, and sometimes you're the driver, sometimes you riding shotgun, sometimes you're in the back seat, but I'm thankful to, after all these years of sitting in the back of my mom's van all the way in the
Now
back.
you're on Front Street.
Yeah, now I'm driving the car, and I'm just thankful that the people I'm driving with each time who are riding with me are my riders. They're some people that have been close to me for a very long time.
Good.
And yeah, shout out to Lisa again for coming and taking the class and posting it up afterwards. But enough about me, because I'm interviewing you. So you yourself have produced at least 2 annual events.
Yeah, 2 shows. My holiday show, the Nut Tapper, which people might not know. I've been doing that for like 20 years, 21 years.
Right.
Started at Old Town School. It was all percussive show. I have a Def Jam kind of poet that narrates the show.
Yep.
Oh man, I use mostly percussive dance. I can mix it up each year, kind of switch it out a little bit. And then I was doing my National Tap Dance show, and bringing in other dancers to keep that alive going on too. And so I was doing that at Old Town School, which was good. To have that kind of production is where when I was doing the Athenaeum, I had to hustle up a lot of money to put it on myself, to produce it on as well, man. You win some, you lose some. Sometimes come out breaking even. Sometimes you make some money. Sometimes, man, and that's a lot of stress on you.
Yeah, man.
But I've been doing that. I don't know, National Tap Day now. I don't know, it could be 9 or 10 years. But I know the Christmas show I've been doing a long time, man.
Man, that's respect. That's respect. And honestly, man, I've been wanting to get to that show for years. And it's so crazy how,
funny show, man. It is so much fun. Oh my God.
Man, and I've known different people in your show, like Alana, Alana.
Oh, Alana.
Yeah,
I brought her in there the last a few years ago. Because she used to work at the school and stuff, and she does the Indian kata dance and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, her. I might bring, you know, I love flamenco without a
Oh,
doubt.
for sure, for
I used
sure.
to go to Spain 2 or 3 times a year and study flamenco, man,
Mm.
and stuff. Yeah, and then I might have a clog dance, Mexican zapateado,
Yeah,
you
the
know.
Zapateado, that's ooh,
Yeah, man,
man.
and stuff. I thought I had no idea I would still be doing it this long. I did it once, and you thought, okay, that's it. And then
Right.
every year, man, people remind me, no type of time, no type of time. To the kids, I want to be in the snowflakes this year. I want to be a mouse, da da da. And everybody start, man, like months before this Christmas even come, they already. And then they turned it into a field trip, and
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
started busting the kids in, and
Wow.
it just got to be another,
Yeah,
just a
another thing.
classic.
Do you
Yeah,
have footage of this, of any of these shows? Do you have
I
like,
don't,
did you
I don't,
record any
I
of them?
don't, I have bits and pieces, but some of it is on VHS. Yes,
Right. Yeah.
and stuff like that, man. That never been uh, transferred. Some CDs, man, but you just get that stuff, you throw it in the container and keep
Right.
moving. Get
Yeah,
some more oil in that
honestly,
container, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. The movement that I'm really excited for, all tap dancers like who have VHSs. I'm I'm
Yeah.
I'm very, hopeful that we all can get our stuff converted, not to share everything with the world, but at least
Yeah.
so we can have it, because there's a lot of these clips that are going to end up in bins, like we all have them in
They're
bins
gonna
and
be sitting
boxes.
over there in the thrift shop, man. And people
I'm
be, oh,
saying,
what's this tap tape here?
right,
Oh,
right,
that the nut tapper. What's that? You
man.
get that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I
oh,
just
that's
like,
the
I'm
last
asking,
shuffle tape.
right, right. I'm asking because, eventually we ain't got to share it with the world, but I would love to see if you have anything, especially if you have, Father Time on any clips. Because wasn't there, or not Father Time, but
Old man time.
Old Man Time. Yeah, yeah. Brownie played Old Man Time, right?
Yeah, that's the name of the song.
Oh, okay,
The
okay.
song
Sorry.
is called Old Man Time, and that's why they use the cane. Because
Got it.
we like, oh, that's the character, Old Man Time. He's so mean. He the meanest man you ever seen. He'll
Mm,
give you youth and he'll take it away. He'll even make your hair turn gray. You know.
bars. That's amazing. Did you write that or is
No, that's original song. You can
okay.
find different versions of the Jimmy, Randy, all these old actors from back in the heyday of Hollywood. You can find a bunch of that. But what I liked about working with Browning was because he added the vaudeville flavor
For
to
sure.
what we do, meaning you had to be more than just tap dance. You had to sing, you tell jokes, you was a little more variety. Like Sammy Davis, he's coming out of vaudeville, but like he's a very well-rounded performer,
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I like that,
Nice,
having
nice.
that variety.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we got to talk about, you producing that show and the
Yeah.
Tap Day show. And I really hope, by Tap Day, maybe things will be back cooking and, we can.
Yeah, I know I had to cancel both shows, school canceled both shows this year.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
So,
has
but
been
I'm
the
back
year
on
of,
the map for next year, so we'll see how it goes. Man.
yeah, this has honestly been the year of things getting canceled and people getting canceled. So hopefully,
Oh
we
man.
could go into a stronger year of, unification and manifestation and things actually happening,
Yeah.
but man, honestly, Reggio, we could talk for 30 hours, like I
I know,
said.
man. I didn't want to be rude. Like, hey, man. I don't know if we should keep going and stuff, or you're gonna have to do a part 2 or part
Someone's
3.
right. Someone's gonna give us the cane dance of
Yeah,
pulling us
like
off.
to pull you off, man.
Yep.
But
But
I like that you're doing this. I hope you really do this, and I hope that you kind of save these live production and add more stuff to it in documentaries. So when you are out there, man, we can get these kind of history classes. Not only the forefathers before us, but we moving up into their spots now. And that, and what we do and what they did all has to keep passing on, and that's what makes it eternity.
Exactly. It's that
That's
full cycle.
eternity.
It's that full
Passing it
cycle.
on and on and on and on until.
Exactly. So before we wrap up, I should do some promotion real quick.
Yeah.
Because we just announced yesterday that actually the show that we were only going to be streaming once this past Sunday, we're actually going to stream it once more this coming Sunday, January 3rd at 12 p.m. Chicago time. So people in other time signatures, people in other time zones can check out. And then we're having a Chicago themed footage night, a footage brunch rather, at 12 p.m. tomorrow. And that's free, but you do have to register. So there's a link in the chat that I just put for everyone, so you can register for that. We have virtual classes that you can still register for. So, check out that link and check that out. And another thing, actually something that Reggio is featured on, I'm really excited that I've finally been able to start producing and designing some merchandise for our production company. So one of the designs we have on our shirts is the Chicago Shuffles design. And this one, it says down the middle, it says Chicago Shuffles. And at the top, we have people who are no longer with us, like Leon Collins, Ernest Brownie Brown right there. We have Sammy Dyer, Jenny Lagon, Tommy Sutton. And then when you come down here, we have people like Trey, Star, Jamani, Lee, Reggio, the Hoofer, McLaughlin right there. we got Brill, we got Donetta, we got George Patterson. Some people were contacting me like, "What's wrong with you? You're not on the shirt." I'm like, it's not enough space, it's okay. Like, I don't need.
Yeah, you gonna say that? Then we look up, we're gonna see your face on the front of the shirt. Next one's just gonna I'm the producer.
The next one's just gonna be me like that. Nah, but you can check this out on that same link. And then we also have another shirt. If you were here yesterday, you caught this. But for those who are only seeing this one, this is the Ascended Masters design. So just like the Chicago one, it says Ascended Masters. So it has people who are no longer with us, from Chance to Bunny, Prince Spencer. We have Henry Latang, Jimmy Slide, of course. And then down here we have, others like Mabel Lee.
Oh man, you know what? Pretty much everybody you named so far, I'm so blessed. I got a chance to meet all of them.
Leonard Reed, we both got to, see Leonard Reed in St. Louis.
St. Louis, yeah.
And then
Henry
on the back,
yep,
yeah, I never
all
got
of them.
Man, but on the back, it says Ascended Masters in white, but also when you get close, it has all those names in black. So there's a t-shirt, there's a long sleeve shirt, and the last thing, y'all have been seeing me sipping some apple juice maybe from this mug. From this mug.
Bottle, right?
Yeah, Reggio's keeping it professional. But we have some mugs with our production company, and then different designs on them. So please support if you can. We also have a GoFundMe to help support not just us putting this event together. Well, everything that it took to put this event together, from the artists that you're seeing to everyone behind the scenes. So I hate to be on here asking people for money, doing damn near street performing virtually.
Show me that money. Show me that money.
Yeah, honestly, it's a really interesting thing once you get into the producer's seat to see how much not just money, but how much work it takes to make something like this come together. So I'm not just trying to recommend people get you some merch and donate, but I want to show appreciation to everyone who's donated and supported and shared and liked. Spread the word, because honestly, we could wait, like many have said, we could wait for the phone to ring, or we could start making those calls and making things happen
Yeah,
ourselves.
your opportunity yourself.
Yep. So, before we go,
Uh,
again, thank you to everyone who also tuned in today.
yeah, thank you all. Hey, Star, nice to hear from you and everybody else, and G, George, and everybody. Thank you so much. I wish we can be in persons, but do what we got to do until we meet again, right?
Exactly. But before we go, I have some last,
Before we go,
yeah, I have some last tap nerd questions to ask you. Some like somewhat quick answer, quick question kind of vibes.
quick, she says.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
without rushing you too much,
Mhm.
these are some last questions for people to get to know you a little even better. So, what would you say are your top 3 to 5 favorite tap dancers who are no longer with us?
Uh,
And I always forget to say before I get into this segment, I'm asking people some real tough questions that would be hard for me to answer, so no pressure.
you know what? When you ask a question like that, I don't look at the tap, the how, like the tap or the flashiest things.
Right.
It's the style that I look at,
Yeah.
that I emulate a person. Like you have a workshop and there might be 5 teachers teaching at one time, and you have to decide on what person that's teaching fits your style.
Exactly.
Even though all 5 of them is excellent, but that's the style that fits my personality. I would say Buster for one.
Yeah.
Laura and all of the stuff we do.
Yeah. Buster Brown.
You have to say Bill Robinson because of the way he could just be up on the toes with that sound. And then I like Brownie, but I ain't gonna say that. I'm just going off the top of my head. I also had a Cookie. Cookie had a coolness about him that I like, and a knowledgeable. So those are like right off my head, even though we got Slide and all that. I know a lot of people would probably want to refuse to answer that question.
Right. It's a hard one.
Yeah, it's a hard question without being disrespectful to everybody.
Right.
But if you really get to it, I couldn't really say even those particular 3. I'm just naming people, but because I really think that we embed all of them in what we do. Even
Exactly.
women tap, even like Jenny Lagon and the women tappers too. I think we all embed, learn stuff and embed all of that in us. So it's kind of hard to
Yeah,
just,
for sure. It's
know.
I got the inspiration for that question from like, in hip hop, people are always asking like, who's your top 5 favorite queens?
Yeah.
Your 5 favorite rappers, and that's even hard to answer. It's like, how would you answer, any of these questions,
Yeah.
without wanting to continue?
I'm
But
not going to answer the one if you ask me living people, because
oh yeah, no,
I'm
we
gonna
ain't.
just say everybody. I learn
Yeah,
from everybody, man.
yeah, man. Yeah, no, we ain't gonna do that
I
one.
just love them.
Yeah, well, so
I love them, man. I see people on the net. I just look at this stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We ain't got to play favorites, but the next question
yeah.
is,
Uh,
who is a musical artist that you feel like you've danced to the most, whether it's practicing or performing, or who you vibe with?
that because I'm not dancing a hip hop step tap kind of a thing. It's hard because by me dancing tradition,
Right.
traditional tap dance, I'm pretty much stuck with a variety of jazz artists. I danced to Oscar Peterson, some of his stuff. You got unknown artists like the music, the chair dance, the Kane, Old Man Time, all of that stuff.
Right.
That I go with whatever the flow of the dance that I'm doing, and I have some music that I'm dancing to a lot, but I don't even know who's playing it because
Yeah,
they
I've
like
heard that.
unknown artists is on there.
Yeah, the underdogs. I can dig it. You know.
Yeah, just so I know. And like when I was getting music from routines with people in New York, they were going in the studio with some of the local musicians and having them to record,
Right.
stuff like that. I danced to the New Low Down. I got the tape from up in Jersey from Katharina. I don't even know who's playing on it.
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because they playing the whole arrangement to fit the routine.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's real. Our third question is, where is, if not a favorite, just some place that comes to mind that you really, really like dancing, whether it's like a studio over the years, it doesn't have to be now. A studio, it could
Oh,
be a theater, it could be, street
ah,
performing, anything.
yeah. I'm
What is
gonna
one of
have
your
to.
favorite places you
You
dance?
know what? And maybe this answer might fit us all. You know how they say the whole world is a stage?
Mm-hmm.
That's my greatest stage.
Hey, yeah,
Because we all been to so many places in so many countries. And I think, you know how they say home is where the heart is?
right.
That's us.
Yeah,
Our home is where we tap in that when we do it. So I say the whole world is my stage.
there it
That's
is.
what I enjoy.
Yep. Our next question,
Our
do you
next question is
right, do you have a favorite piece of footage, like either a clip or a documentary or a DVD or VHS, or just something that stands out to you that you watched a whole lot of times?
not in particular. I wanted I know one of the things that I really like is when I'm dancing when I sing and dance to Mr. Bojangles.
Mm,
I
mm,
kind of like that. I don't have many tapes because some of the tapes when I was doing it was on some of the festivals and they had it on VHS. And sometimes you get them and sometimes they don't. But I kind
well,
of like that. I think. Is that what you're saying?
well, that's good to know, but I mean, like, of somebody else, like like
Oh,
our
that I watch.
yeah,
Oh man, it's so hard. I love so many styles of dancing and people and what they doing with what they doing. You
right,
know, I could I could never pick just one.
right, yeah, yeah. These are
I just see so much in everybody's style, even here, man.
yeah,
It's hard to pick one over the other, man, because everybody who's been out here so long is just a master with this stuff.
right. Well, how about this with tap in particular? What's not number one, but what's some a clip that you feel like you've watched a lot?
That deals with tap or
Yeah.
documentary or something like. I'm gonna tell you the one. It's really funny. Is Brenda Buffalino did a documentary, Great Feats of Feet, and
Mm,
it features the copacetics and Buster and Honey, and they are moving around. I really like that authenticity of that.
yeah.
And them rehearsing at Fazos and all of that. I
Yeah.
should hang at Fazos, and so that one it kind of brings back the authenticity, like saying going back to Egypt or something.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. I watch the things that hits me more in my heart and in my soul.
Yeah.
And it might be a different perspective than most people look at, but at least for myself, because that's what gives me the inspiration and the motivation and everything like that.
True. True.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's real. I can dig it. Uh,
yeah, I really like that documentary. A lot of those guys are in there and they practicing and they just being themselves, man.
I don't think I've seen that. I just wrote that down
Oh
right now.
man, Great Feats of Feet. Yeah,
Yeah.
Brenda and Jane Goldberg, I think both produced that, and they copacetic, and they up on the college campus. They doing shit. They gonna do a performance, and it shows them rehearsing a lot of different stuff. Oh my God, Honey man, it's a classic of that was of the copacetics.
Yeah, I'm gonna dig that up. I'm gonna definitely dig that up. Our next question I think might be interesting because you've maybe played with some of these people, but
Uh,
if you could choose, one person tomorrow, one musical artist you could collaborate with from any time period, who would you choose that you could like tap dance with, like if you tapped while they were playing or singing?
I would say Oscar Peterson.
That's
because he's a swing piano player and he has a drive that would probably push more out of you than you would be intended to do.
That's real. Yeah, I found some footage of Chuck Green dancing with Oscar Peterson.
Oh wow.
Doing Caravan or was it was A Train, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Oscar Peterson, that's a good one. He's one of my favorites, for sure.
Yeah, he's a piano player from the heart,
Mm-hmm.
And as dancers, we have to feed off of the musicians' music, and they have to give you something that you can feel and really want to dance to it, and touch you.
Right. Now, this is probably another hard one. I think they're all probably hard, tough questions, but if you could be in any tap company or any tap group from any time period, which would you choose?
Probably Mad Rhythms.
Oh man, that's real.
Yeah, because they really have left a mark here in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And been out there, and I watched everybody in a dedication. You was a Mad Rhythm. Trey was a Mad Rhythm.
Yeah.
So why would I not go with them?
Hey, that's love.
That's Chicago, man, and they embed Chicago.
Yeah.
And I work with pretty much everybody in that group, and I like the chemistry that we have because of all us working together and being around. And I think that when we were around and we danced, that we just had a beautiful connection. So
sure.
I was definitely Mad Rhythms, Chicago style.
Man, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So we just have 3 more questions. So what is something that an elder tap dancer has shared with you that has stuck with you, like a quote or some wisdom or something that you'd be willing to share with the people?
Told me, he said, Reg, you know what is so deep about the dancing thing as a dancer? He said, you would go and you would have a student and you would teach them a lot of things and stuff. And once they get it, you look up, they would come to try to challenge you with the stuff that you taught them. And that always stuck with me because I always had a deep, profound respect for all of my teachers, no matter what kind of teacher, but all my tap teachers. I pay homage to every bio. I mentioned Jimmy Payne being my first teacher. You know what I mean? Respect. And you your legs get beat up, they hurt and stuff. Then pretty soon you just don't want to risk blowing your knees and stuff out trying to do these tricks and different things. So I just don't think that's respectful to your teacher, when they show you, and then if a dancer want to come challenge them or try to, that with that disrespect, especially over stuff that they taught you to get you to the point. I think no matter what, you have to respect them, even if they just limp on stage, he still was your master teacher. That's what stuck with me. And that's why I had the utmost respect, utmost respect for everybody.
Who showed that to you?
Actually, Jimmy Payne told me that. Jimmy Payne Sr., the father. He told me, since he was my first teacher, you know, he told me that.
Yeah, that's a good thing, you know, for folks to consider is, you know, one day you're learning from somebody, and then the next day, you know, you trying to treat them a different kind of way. Like,
yeah, like you're on the show and you like, man, I would never do that, you know,
yeah.
stuff. I could never do that. I love when I was in Japan. The lady brought me over there. She does lectures and stuff, and they took me into one of the schools, and it just blew me away. Before they started a class, that all the students would ask the teacher, would she please give them a lesson, and then the teacher would acknowledge that and say, yes, I give you a lesson. That just stuck with me on how they train. And even in India, all the students that have the utmost of respect to the teachers for the knowledge that they're about to share and give to them. So that always just stuck with me. And I just hate and don't like to see when a student who's come up and become a have a disrespect for the master teachers and stuff. That's what stick to me, man. You know.
Yeah. No, that's real. You know, so definitely, folks, pay attention to those words.
Yeah, they should have respect, man.
Yeah, always.
I even if I have to downplay myself for somebody that was before me and over, I would, man. It's like, hey.
Yeah.
You
know, it's just.
And we've seen how Gregory did that to Sammy Davis Jr. on that special and stuff, man. He kissed his shoes and stuff, man. That's to me is the noble and honor. You know, a person of honor and nobility when you could show that kind of humble and meekness. You know, I never been like a cutthroat. I gotta outdo this. I got, you know, backstab people. I never felt like I could ever do that to try to, you know, elevate myself in this game.
Right, exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, maybe for the next answer you'll, you know, consider someone, I'm assuming, who has these values. But if you can hang out with one tap dancer for a day, anybody for a day or a week, you know, but just one person, who would you choose?
That's anywhere.
Yeah, anyone from anywhere, any time period, but a tap dancer in particular.
I don't know. Probably Omar.
that is so unexpected, but kind of makes sense.
Probably Omar.
Omar Edwards?
Yeah, he one of a kind, man. And I'm kind of like that flavor of one of a kind. And I remember when he in New York of him being Toe Jam and all of that. And one time when I went to Swing 46, he was hosting the show. You know what I'm saying? And we kind of started vibing and talking a little bit, you know, and bringing up the day. I would probably, and I'll never see him unless every now and then I cross paths, you know, with him if he come out or something. But probably him, because it would probably be just a real.
Y'all two together would be hilarious. Like, and also you both like dress in such a particular way. Like it would be an event for sure.
Yeah, it is, you know, and we do, and we have that kind of flavor, you know what I'm saying? So probably he would come to mind for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is a story of mine. You know, I'm interviewing you, and here I go about to talk about my thing. But man, my first time going to New York, I went to a jam, and I'm dancing on stage, and the stage is facing the entrance, so you can see people as they're coming and going.
Yeah.
And I just see this figure in all white with the hat and the suit. I'm like, is
Yeah.
that Michael Jackson? And, and it was
Oh my.
Omar. And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
came up to who was hosting the
Uh,
jam, and I could hear him. He's like, "Hey, who's the kid?" And they're filling him in like, it's this cat Nico from Chicago. He's like, "All right,
yeah.
cool." He put his shoes on. He came on stage. I'm telling you, the stage was like this small. We start trading. He does a split and
Okay.
comes up, and I was just like, it was just crazy. But it was just
Yeah.
so funny that he came in, and I'm instantly he stuck out, and just
Yeah.
his flavor of as a person, and then as a tap dancer, which can be one and the same sometimes. What
For
was
real.
just such a thing, especially him doing a split on a floor where his legs damn near didn't even fit on the floor. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, you got it. But yeah, you two together would be a thing. So that's what's up. And then our final question before we wrap it
Yeah.
on up is,
Better wrap it up, man.
right, uh, what would you like people to remember you for as a tap dancer or just a person?
Oh. You know what? I like people remember me just as a dancer from the heart, and um, and how I treated our elders with respect, the way I treated Brownie and kept him going, and that they would kind of follow that image of taking care of our elder dancers
Yeah,
and just be a dancer from the heart. That's what I'm going to remember me for.
yeah,
And also our contributions to the dance and dedication of trying to keeping it going and passing it down.
for sure, for sure. Yeah,
That's it.
man. Nah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. That's great. And
Uh,
again, thank you to all who tuned in, who've been supporting and liking.
Thank
But
you all for tuning in for the Hoofer
yep,
and
yep,
Nico,
and then
the host.
yep, and then thank you to you, Reggio, for coming and joining
Yeah.
us and blessing us today and
Yeah.
yesterday with the classes. And I'm glad that we as Chicagoans know that we know now even more than ever that we can lean on each other if we need to. And I'm glad that we were able to connect and make this happen this year. So
Yeah, cool,
love
man. Yeah, your spirit make this happen, your
for sure.
tap spirit. Cool. All right, man, we better wrap it up, man. I
Yeah.
gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta eat.
Yep. Same over here. So I